Even Superheroes Get Diabetes by Sue Gann Schmidt. Illustrated by Micah Chambers Goldberg. Hi, my name's Super K, but my friends call me Kelvin. I was an expert on superheroes even before I became one. At kindergarten, I saved the day from pirates, sharks, hot lava, and all the bad guys you can think of. But back then, I was just pretending. Every day after school, my little brother and I saved the neighborhood until dark, when Mom called, "Time for your hero sandwiches!" At bedtime, Dad read me a stack of books about superheroes. My favorites were Ratman, Slime Girl, and Kite Boy. "Dad, how do you get superpowers?" I always asked. Dad had lots of theories, but I could tell that he didn't really know. That's because no one in the universe knows how superheroes are chosen to have superpowers. What I do know is that it always starts with a bad day. That's how it was with me. I don't know why I was chosen to become a superhero. I just was. When my bad day started, I had been waiting 3 forevers for Kite Boy's new movie. Kite Boy versus the Scissoring Samurai. The big day was finally here. Dad was out jogging. After that, he was going to take me to the matinee. "Waffles with strawberries and whipped cream," sang Mom that morning. I was starving, but I couldn't move, even for my favorite breakfast. Had Vacuum Head snuck into my room and sucked out all my energy? "Are you okay?" Mom asked. "Yes. What time's the movie?" I hissed like a tire going flat. I tried again. "I have to pee. Help me. So thirsty." Mom had no idea what I was saying. My thumb moved back and forth, pointing to the toilet. Mom helped me there 4 times in the next hour, and she brought me a big pitcher of water. Dad jogged into my room and said, "Hey, sleepyhead, you don't look ready for the movie." He did seem tired yesterday, too, barely able to save the world even once. And now he's as thirsty as a desert warrior, said Mom. "Does he have a fever?" asked Dad. "No, maybe it's the flu," answered Mom. I left a message for the doctor. Then she said firmly, "No movie today. You can take him tomorrow if he's feeling better." Those awful words were all I remembered until I heard, "Ring, ring." Mom was on the phone. Then my parents were rushing me around. Dad was carrying me. Click went my seatbelt. My little brother poked me with his shark head on a stick and cried, "He won't play with me." Soon we were in the doctor's office. Why was everyone so serious? It was just the flu, wasn't it? Click! I was in the back seat again. Then, vroom, we were flying into space. Or were we? We parked and moved through a never-ending hallway. It was brighter than a supernova. Finally, I was in bed, only not on my own. "Hey," I whimpered. There was a needle in my arm. It stayed there too long. Was it filling me with truth serum? That's okay, I thought. Superheroes like me never lie. Then I fell asleep again. Dad was there when I woke up. I have to know, I thought. The words burned in my mind as if Super Solar Ray had etched them in there with his glow gun. "Dad, can we go see the Kite Boy movie now?" He laughed and said, "You're going to be here for a couple of days. We'll see Kite Boy when you're home and feeling better." He told me why I was in the hospital. It sounded like a lot of blah, 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 and that's why your pancakes aren't working right, and you can't blah, blah, blah the sugar, and you're going to need insulation shots every day, and... "All this talk about pancakes and sugar is making me hungry," I interrupted. Dad laughed again and said to Mom, "I'll explain it to him after he eats. I have diabetes, type 1. My pancreas is supposed to help process the sugar in my body, and it doesn't work right. So I need shots of something called insulin." "Dad, can I still do everything?" I asked. "Yes, my boy, you can still do everything," he said. "Even ride my bike, take snowboarding lessons, and have birthday cake?" I asked. "Of course you can," said Dad. 2 days later, we went home. The shots and finger pricking began. Took another forever until I got to see the Kite Boy movie. While we watched, Mom counted every bite of popcorn that I ate. At the end of the movie, Kite Boy was almost snipped apart by the Scissoring Samurai. Things seemed hopeless until Kite Boy flew the villain over a volcano. With one last fatal snip, the Scissoring Samurai fell into bubbling lava. Kite Boy was really brave. Most days, I was brave too, but other days, I wasn't. "Mom, do you have to test me now?" I whined. Yes, I do. Now come out from under your bed," she snapped. But Mom, you test me every 2 minutes. I can't eat. I can't sleep. I can't play. I can't do anything until I'm tested, I said. After I was tested, my brother and I went outside to do some rock jumping. I had the strangest feeling for a couple of seconds. I thought, was I just flying? Mom came out and handed us each a muffin. She had weighed mine to figure out the number of carbs, that's secret code for carbohydrates, and that's double secret code for sugars. Calvin, fly, said my little brother with his mouth full. That's nice, sweetie, said Mom, wiping crumbs off his face. Then she turned to me and said, when you're done snacking, we're going to see a new specialist doctor. Not another doctor's appointment, I begged. We have had a lot of doctor's appointments, Calvin, said Mom, but the doctors have explained that you're still in the honeymoon period of diabetes. Why do they always talk about my honeymoon? I complained. I'm too young to get married. Of course, Calvin, Mom said, but you know that means you're in the beginning of type 1 diabetes, and for a short time, your blood sugar is almost normal again. Nobody thinks you're ready for a wedding honeymoon, silly, she said, tickling me. At the new doctor's office, there were 10 other kids waiting. Next, called a nurse, and a kid got sent through a door on the left. We read a mountain of comic books before it was my turn. Mom and I weren't sent through the same door as the other kids. To the right and up the stairs, said the nurse, pointing. The doctor greeted us in his library. He was wearing a regular white doctor's coat, but I spied a yellow shirt peeking out. He shook my hand. Then he turned and took a book off the shelf. Whoosh! The bookcase opened into a secret doorway. Kelvin, I've been waiting for you. I need your help, said my new doctor. Mom and I shrugged at each other and followed him. The bookcase spun shut behind us. We were in a room as big as an airplane hangar. Machines were buzzing, flashing, and beeping. It was better than a NASA space center. The doctor hooked me up to these electrodes with long wires. Jump, he commanded. I bounced high, like on a trampoline. I felt strange, like when I was rock jumping earlier. It's just as I thought, he said, smiling. I glanced at the doctor and noticed his extra muscly arms. My eyes spotted something lumpy under his coat that bulged around his side. What was that thing? I need you to put on this anti-gravity suit, he said. He gave me more tests. I was like an astronaut in training. On the wall was a map of the world, dotted with green lights. One light started blinking red. The doctor saw it too. Please make yourselves comfortable. And, have some raspberry herb iced tea, he said in a hurry. The doctor dashed out the door. Before I had finished my tea, he was back. He was fussing with his hair and fixing his coat. The red flashing light had turned green again. Waving some papers at us, he said, It's just as I suspected. You have not been fully diagnosed. Today's tests prove a rare medical condition. It's one that I have not seen for 25 years. Yes, 25 years ago, he continued, I found out that I had flydiabetes. It's a strain of diabetes that reacts to insulin injections. It gives me flying powers. Then he ripped open his coat, and my eyes nearly popped out. I stared at his superhero shirt. So, are you Superfly, Fly Guy, or Flyman? I asked. No. I thought of using one of those names too, but I didn't want people to misunderstand and think that I was some sort of super insect. I am simply Captain Flydiabetes. My job is to make sure diabetic kids get insulin when they need it. And I need your help, Kelvin. From now on, you shall be known as Super K. What I've discovered in your lab tests is that you, too, have flydiabetes. You can fly, just like me. You'll need to be fitted with a pump like mine. He pointed to the lumpy thing I'd spotted before under his coat. I can fly? I asked. Yes, Super K, he went on. This insulin pump is more precise in keeping your blood sugar in the zone. It keeps you from flying too high or too low, the doctor continued. We have important missions ahead of us. Before we talk about that, though, you need to take this superhero manual home and read it with your parents. Come back tomorrow for your pump pack and your first test flight. After weeks of studying and flight training, I was back to take my superhero oath. Then I was sworn in as a real superhero. But before we could even celebrate, a light on the map started blinking red. Let's go, shouted Captain Flydiabetes, and we dashed to the roof. Fly safely, called out Mom. My little brother was screaming, I want to fly a Beats too. I fixed my pump and took off into the sky. Captain Flydiabetes explained our first mission. A dad in Michigan dropped off his kid at school, but he forgot to put her test kit and insulin into her backpack. He's headed toward the airport. We have to get there fast. We landed by the car just as the dad was pulling out his suitcase. He blinked hard and rubbed his eyes like he couldn't believe we were real. He saw our pumps and cried out, "Oh my gosh, Chloe's test kit!" "Don't worry, sir, we'll take care of it," I said. The captain winked at me and we took off. We reached Chloe just before snack time. "Light speed," yelled the captain, and we were off to another mission. On most missions, we had to bring insulin to kids, but once in a while, we had to help parents read the tiny lines on the injection syringe. Other times, we had to fly a case of insulin to a hospital that had run out, like in Tibet, Guatemala, and Zimbabwe. We flew anywhere there were diabetic kids, which, as the captain explained to me, is everywhere. One day, after school, Mom and my brother ran over to me. "Here," said Mom, handing me my superhero clothes. "Captain Flybeady's called," she said. "He needs you to meet him at his office right away for a mission." Now there were some kids at school who already thought my super pump pack was the coolest thing they had ever seen. But you should have seen their faces when I did the old up, up, and away. That night, at bedtime, I had to explain something to Dad that he was always wondering about. "Dad, it doesn't really matter how you get superpowers. The thing that matters is how you use them." Dedicated to Caden Kessel, KK, a real diabetes superhero.